great down here in Tennessee. We don't need y'all to talk about us because we're going to talk about ourselves.
Hello, everybody out there. Welcome to Titans Tube. My name is Justin, and this is Jake here with me. And Jake, our Tennessee Titans, you know, we went into Indianapolis, and they found a way, as everybody likes to say. I mean, we can get into it wasn't pretty. I mean, the second half, I think the Titans forgot to come out of the locker room. But you know what? 24 is just our number. That is our goal number to get to. We score 24 points. And we just rest for the rest of the game. Last week, we scored 24 in the first half, Busek second. Same thing in this game, Jake, and we're 2-0 now. So that's the recipe. That is the Titans' identity, I think. But man, first time in Titans history that we have gotten 4 straight victories over the Wretched Colts. Is the tide finally turning? I don't know. We can pump the brakes on that, but it feels good to be on the right side of this series now for a few years now, Jake. Ooh, big win. We're 2-2 now. How are you feeling, sir?
I feel much better at 2-2, Justin. You know, I always feel like that week 4 is super important, especially if you're 1-2, because 2-2 just feels and looks a whole hell of a lot better than 1-3 does. And especially if you drop that game to a divisional opponent. Justin, I initially, we were texting throughout this game on Sunday. And I have it on receipt. I sent you a message that said, why do I feel so nervous with a 14-point lead at halftime?
Yeah.
And you were right there with me, and we just saw it coming a mile away. You mentioned it, 24 first half points. The Titans' offense and defense could do nothing wrong, much like in that Las Vegas Raiders game. And then you come out 3 and out for the offense, and the Colts march right down and score a touchdown to start the second half, make it a 7-point game. Luckily, the football gods were on our side, Justin, and the Titans were able to cling to that 7-point lead with all it was worth, thanks to a fumble by Jonathan Taylor and a well-timed sack by Danico Autry, the former Colt. But Justin, I was conflicted, and I felt like, wow, this was a really disappointing, ugly win. And I mean, us Titans fans have seen our fair share of ugly, disappointing wins, but this one was, you know, up there with the best of them. However, there's just a silver lining in that it was Colts hate week. You went into Indianapolis and you came out with a 7-point victory, and the Colts just seemed to be an absolute shambles from their fan base up to their players and coaches and even ownership. You know, Jim Irsay is absolutely fuming, and his head is probably like radiating steam because he's so pissed off that he can't beat the Titans. And there's just something so heartwarming and fulfilling to give them back that favor that the Colts paid to us with Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck. I always say that the day Andrew Luck retired was one of the happiest days of my Titans fandom. And it's because we've seen this result. The Titans have reeled off 4 straight wins. And, you know, you go back to the Andrew Luck years and they reeled off 9 or 10. So we're only halfway there, Justin.
Yeah, right. We're only halfway there. I mean, that brings down my excitement a little bit. That just to know how much they have owned us in this series. But we'll take it. It's crazy. Yeah, it's. I feel justified in that the Colts hype, that the media and everybody pumping up this team. We saw this coming, Jake. We were like, what is going on? What is with all the hype around the Colts? They haven't done that much in the offseason. They just brought over Matt Ryan. And now they're suddenly a definite playoff team, probable division winner, and possible AFC contender. But anyway, enough about the Colts. This is about the Titans. It just feels good to kick them a little bit more when they're down. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I mean, they've given a lot of misery to us over the years. But man, Jake, this Jekyll and Hyde Titans team, this first half was so beautiful. I mean, starting off strong. We get that early turnover. That was the Tart interception, right?
The early turnover was the strip sack of Matt Ryan.
Oh, yes.
Again, talk about a guy with just I don't know, small hands, or does he butter his
Yeah,
gloves before the game? He has 9 fumbles on the season, Justin. There's been 4 games.
I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to bring up, has this been a problem for Matt Ryan over his career? And it's not like he's getting strip sacked or blindsided. Like he sees the hits coming. And then, I think it was that first turnover where Autry was coming at him, and then he like held out the ball like away from his body as Autry was closing in. And so, you're seeing these hits coming and he's still putting the ball on the ground. Man, I mean, he's turning the ball over at a worse clip than Carson Wentz. I mean, this is not an upgrade. This has been a downgrade so far.
That's hard to say. That's hard to say. You turn the ball over more than Carson Wentz, who is like Mr. Turnover.
Yeah. He has to wear that title now for the time being, I think. But man, that was our bread and butter, Jake. I mean, when things were looking bad, the defense in the second half was bending like crazy. I mean, it seemed like things were softening up. They kept hitting us with slants and crossers over the middle that just seemed to be wide open. And obviously it felt like the game plan was to shut down Jonathan Taylor at all costs. Huge credit to the rush defense. And while we're at it, huge shout out to these guys we brought in recently to get on the field, namely Wyatt Ray and Joe Schobert, who we picked up off the street a week ago, being very active in this game. Huge credit to them. But then in the second half, it seemed like they could do whatever they wanted scheme wise. And it seemed like our corners were just struggling like crazy to break up a pass. The Caleb Farley, horrible underthrown ball. That was vintage Carson Wentz, Jake. The horrible throw that ends up working out in the Colts' favor anyway. But all that's to say, when the team needed to make a huge play, they delivered with the turnovers. 3 turnovers from Indianapolis, and Titans had 0 turnovers themselves. So that is a huge stat you can point to kind of, tell the story of the game. Very much a bend but don't break defense. And like you said, I think the Jonathan Taylor fumble in the second half was the play of the game because they had all of the momentum at that point. And
every ounce.
And I just, you had that feeling. I was like, yep, they are about to mark. We are about to be in a tie football game. Like, what was that in the fourth quarter? I think it was.
Yeah, early fourth.
Yeah. Things were looking bad, and man, and he hasn't done that much in the NFL. Is turn the ball over. Big time plays from the defense to keep fighting, even when, they had almost 400 yards of offense, maybe, but 17 points on the board. You will take that in the NFL. So, nail biter, Jake. Before I throw it back to you, just this second half offense. I mean, I hate that we keep having to jump to that, but that's obviously the biggest talking point of this team so far after 4 games. So, okay, 3 and out, -6 yards. Next drive, 3 and out, 3 yards. So we have -3 yards so far in the second half. Then we have another 3 and out. Okay, great. 3 and out again for the third time for 8 yards. And then we finally get a first down on a 5-play, 13-yard drive. And then we get 10 yards to ice the game away. The 1 first down. I think that was a 6-play drive. So what is that? That's probably 20-something total yards that this offense gained. And in the entire second half, Jake, there were 3
first downs. There were 3 first downs by this Titans offense the entire second half. And here's the kicker, Justin. One of those came from a defensive holding on the Colts. And I think I remember texting you. I was like, we got a first down because it was it was already early in the fourth quarter and it was nail biting. Like, all we got to do is just keep the ball for longer than 3 plays and we can put these guys away. And they just refused. I don't know what it is about this Titans offense, but they refuse to produce in the second half. And it's so mind boggling. It almost feels like a case of the yips at this point because their first half offense is on fire and moving the ball right down the field. And then we get this in the second half, 2 first downs.
I mean,
2 earned first downs.
You're seeing, in the first half, Tannehill throwing dimes, Chigakonkwo, things are open for Derrick Henry. He's ripping off chunk gains. We had a 6-play, 75-yard drive. I think that was our second touchdown in like 3 minutes. I mean, things were just happening and big chunk plays. Like you were saying that this offense needs some big plays. Didn't have any like 40-plus yard plays, but we had a couple big 20-yard chunk plays there. And, Tannehill throwing it to Robert Woods, schemed wide open in the end zone. And just none of that existed in the second half. No one was open. Derrick Henry getting tackled for 4-yard losses on first down. Just they were penetrating the backfield. Derrick Henry had 99 yards in the first half, and it took him until halfway through the fourth quarter to break 100 yards.
Yeah.
What I don't get it. It's as mind-boggling as 2 years ago our third down defense. It almost felt like a fluke. Something is just unplugged from the system, and it doesn't make sense how we are so bad on third downs. 3rd and 20s, they're getting the first down every time. And it's starting to become the same thing. It's like a miracle to see us get a first down in the second half. So we've got to find the balance at some point, Jake. And we got Washington next, and that's a winnable game. Then the bye week, I'm getting a little ahead of myself here, Jake, but the bye week is kind of coming at a good time for this Titans team. You don't like to see an early bye this early in the season, like week 6, because you like getting it, late in the season when it's November, December, and guys are really starting to wear down. This team is worn down right now. We got to get guys healthy and kind of regroup and figure out what is going on with this Jekyll and Hyde Titans team. So
definitely.
Yeah.
And you pointed to the 3 turnovers. That is the recipe for the Titans to end up winning this football game. If the Tier Tart interception doesn't happen, do we get that extra 7 points, or do we stay at 17? And that opening drive fumble by Matt Ryan, that gave us a short field to open the game with 7 points.
Yep. Yeah, and blink and we're up 14-0. And it couldn't have asked for a better start.
And I was also slightly nervous because I've watched this game play out in person last season at Lucas Oil, Justin. The Colts, you blinked and the Colts were up 14-0 in the same exact matchup last season. And they came back and made it an overtime game, which I thought we were heading steadfast for. But that third turnover, Justin, again, massive. The Jonathan Taylor fumble on 3rd and 1. I believe we said it was just a gift. It felt like a gift from the football gods that was just dropped to us at our biggest moment in need. Obviously, Colts driving down, they were within almost in the red zone, I think. And Jonathan Taylor popped it out. And the more frustrating thing, Justin, is that we saw it coming like a while away. We saw it coming, when they botched the end of the first half field goal sequence. You saw the lineman trip over the holder, and I was like, oh geez, they're going to need this 3 points later. And this is what happened. They're going to really need these 3 points later. And they almost did. They almost did if it weren't for a God-given Jonathan Taylor fumble.
Yeah, that's when it felt like it was starting to happen. Like they had just scored a touchdown, then we're driving, and it's like, okay, everything's not falling apart right now. We're going to put up some more points here. And it was a great drive until I don't know how Tannehill didn't take a sack. I think he scrambled out, but we had 19 seconds at the beginning of that play, and we were not able to get a field goal attempt off. If the lineman didn't trip, I still don't know if we get that snap off.
It was just poor time and down management, in my opinion, because it was 3rd down and 1.5, 2. It was 3rd and short, and Tannehill tried to scramble for it, and you couldn't spike the ball. So you just found yourself in Tannehill either has to get rid of that ball or get the first down. It's kind of that simple. There's only 2 options there. And then obviously spike it because they were out of timeouts at that point. But I was significantly nervous that we were going to need that 3 points, Justin.
Man, hey, I did too. But I just thought of something, and a shout out to an MVP or MVP player when the offense is struggling and sucking. Guess who comes in on 4th down, Jake? Our man, Ryan Stonehouse. Dude.
Yes.
He, again, hits some bangers. He can flip the field when the offense can't move the ball. Oh, boy, Ryan Stonehouse will move the ball for you with his cannon of a leg, dude. You love Kern, but, dude, this guy is literally like the number 1 punter in the NFL right now. Yeah, he has the averaging the most yards per punt. He's ranked up there with punts inside the 20. So clutch to get the offense out of a bad spot and flip the field. So random shout out,
that is a great point to make in that game, because I also kind of noted that in my brain. I should have wrote it down for this video, Justin, but I remembered keep hearing when the offense was stalling out. I just kept hearing the announcer on TV say, another bomb by Stonehouse. Yes. Look at this guy go. And I was like, at least there's some bright spot. At least we have an all-pro punter on our hands. Hopefully he's a Ray guy, Hall of Famer at this rate. But But yes, shout out to Ryan Stonehouse for his ability to flip the field, which was huge. It was absolutely huge on Sunday to have in that second half, especially when you can't muster a first down.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about this franchise, but we churn out some extremely good punting units. And the special teams had a good day, I thought, as a whole. I mean, they covered punts well. I guess you can credit them for the Indianapolis's kicker missed a field goal, which was big. Or our special teams in general would just definitely outperformed Indianapolis's, I would say.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know what else can we get into about this game. You know, we had the botched last of the first half field goal attempt, the Jekyll and Hyde about this team. I mean, we're feeling good, right? I mean,
yes. And I'll tell you why I'm feeling good, Justin. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're
but I mentioned it slightly last week, but we didn't have the concrete statistics to back it up. I mentioned how Derrick Henry looked more back than he had in the previous two games, but still he was, it was a pedestrian day, 80 yards and a touchdown, and that was about it. It had a long reception last week. But this week, Justin, was Derrick Henry back as ever, especially in the first half. Obviously, we're talking about first half Titans whenever anything positive comes up. But Derrick Henry's stat line, 22 carries, 114 yards, 5.2 average, and a touchdown. He should have had 2 touchouts if it weren't for a ticky-tack holding call.
That would have been such a sweet highlight reel run to add to his career highlights. I hate that got called back.
So bummed that got called back. And, it's Derrick Henry is very reserved most of the time. He's a very quiet kind of guy. He's not too flashy with celebrations or anything. Of course, he rips off an incredible 20-plus yard run. He's breaking tackles, moving guys out of the way, and then shows the burst of speed at the end, takes off his helmet, and he's as fired up as we've ever seen Derrick Henry. Truthfully. And you saw him turn around and see there was a flag, and you saw the moment on his face.
He was like,
The one time I get this amped up about scoring a touchdown like this, it gets called back. So I just want to go on record. I was nervous. I want to go on record and say I was never on board that Derrick Henry was fully washed through 3 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
I was just slightly nervous. I thought it had a lot more to do with this offensive line, and there just wasn't a lot of room to run. But wow. Over the last 2 weeks, we have seen number 22 return to form, and it is just a sight for sore eyes for this Titans offense. And I also really appreciate, I'm going to give Todd Downing a single flower. I'm not giving him his flowers, just one. Getting Derrick Henry involved in the passing game, Justin, and it's no accident. You are starting to see it more and more and more. Derrick Henry was our second leading receiver on Sunday with 3 catches at 33 yards.
And he led the team in targets with 5. He out-targeted everybody. Yeah. Followed by Robert Woods and Dontrell Hilliard. But yeah. Man, again, I interrupted you. But, dude, I agree. Great credit to Todd Downing for getting Derrick Henry. This is the most he's been involved in a passing game his whole career, I feel like.
Yeah.
I mean, he's on a track to get maybe 200, maybe 300 receiving yards. Look out, Christian McCaffrey. We have a new dual threat in the NFL. And I'm glad we're talking about Derrick Henry, first 100-yard game of the season. Big shout out to him. Great to see him getting back into the end zone again. 3rd straight game with a rushing touchdown now. And also welcome to the NFL moment for our rookie tight end out of Maryland, Chig Okonkwo. 2 of the bigger plays of the game. That nice touchdown reception with Tannehill had to weird angle armed it, got a little crowded in the pocket, but beautiful pass. Chig was right there, took a hit, got right back up. And then, of course, to salt the game away, I could give a few flower petals to Todd Downing for that play call. Let's talk about that. The Derrick Henry lining up as a fullback, and then you fake the handoff to him there when you need a crucial 3rd and 1 stop. Like, everybody's keying in. This is a Derrick Henry play. Absolutely. And instead, we don't give him the ball on the sweep. I'm glad we didn't do that. That was a bad play in the Giants game, I think week 1.
Yeah.
We needed a first down, and we ran a sweep to Chig. But it was the play action and then throw it out to Okonkwo in the flat. And, man, it was a beautiful play call to salt the game away there. So a good shout-out to Todd Downing there.
Absolutely. I will contribute my flower. However, we always dig back in the most niche Titans memories throughout the years, and that's one of my favorite things about talking about it every week. I've seen this play call before, Justin, and if you think all the way back to the Thursday night special teams debacle in 2020, you're playing the Phillip Rivers Colts.
Yeah.
The Titans came out like a fire, drove right down the field, and it was Derrick Henry's show all the way on the plus side of the 50. It was 3 or 4 straight runs, and he was peeling off chunks like we know Derrick Henry to do. They were on, I don't know what down it was, but it was goal to go, and they put Derrick Henry at that fullback position, and they had Deontay Foreman behind him, ran the same exact play call, and it blew my mind because I thought it was genius then, and I thought it was genius in this moment. It was huge. It was a massive, you said it, ice the entire game. Oh my God, you've only been able to muster 1 earned first down the entire second half, and here's your chance to win it. And he pulls the rabbit out of his hat with that great play call, the little swing out pass to Chigakonkwo. I loved it. I'm glad you brought that up.
Great credit to your memory, Jake. I would not have remembered that, but great callback. I mean, Todd Downing. No, that was
Art Smith, I think.
Art Smith.
2020.
So maybe he stole that one from Art Smith then. But yeah, love that play. And yeah, it's not like the Colts were doing research and watched game film from the game 2 years ago with Phillip Rivers and saw that formation and saw that coming, I should say. So the play calling is better in spots, and who knows, I guess I'd have to go back and look at, I don't even know if those 3 and outs were anywhere on the highlights, like on YouTube that you can find, but the reason or what happened exactly on those 3 and outs, they could have been fine play calls. Just the players were missing blocks and Tannehill maybe missing a read, getting sacked. So it can't all be on Todd. I know he's an easy scapegoat, but when things are working and it's clicking and you need a big play, we got one at the end. So, change things up, be a little bit less predictable. You want to instill your identity, with Derrick Henry, but you got to be able to pull some stuff out. But it's easy to say that now. I keep contradicting myself, but whenever he tried to sweep to Chigakonkwo 3 weeks ago on a huge moment in the game, it didn't work out, and he looked like an idiot for doing that. So
yeah.
What are you gonna do? It worked out this week.
And I do think that going back to the first half versus second half Titans, I do think that it does have something to do with the coaching staff. I mean, you're being out adjusted at halftime. Like, that's kind of the whole thing. That you come out in the first half and you have a great game plan against the Colts, and you have a great game plan against the Raiders, and you had a great game plan against the Giants. And then you got into a nice double-digit comfy lead, and then you went to halftime and you're like, all right, let's try that all again, I guess. And the other team adjusts and they shut that down, and there seems to be no urgency or no resolve to to make those adjustments in order to get your offense back to the way it was working in the first half. So I do think this coaching staff is being out-coached in the adjustment category. Obviously, I mean, the sample size is too big now.
It's become too much of a pattern, I think, to keep saying, the players aren't playing as hard or they're letting the foot off the gas. It makes sense that there does seem to be a coaching philosophical kind of scheme issue here about adjustments, because teams are doing things to, stop us, and then we're not responding. So, and that's become too much of a pattern where you can't just like point at players and execution, I think, every single time. So
definitely.
I think
definitely. And you brought it up earlier. I do think this Titans team is in a good spot right now, Justin. You have the Washington Commanders this week. Winnable game, but we're going to be biting our nails deep into the fourth quarter to try and eke out a victory in Washington.
Yep.
And I'm going to say it now. I'm going to say it in the preview, and I'm probably going to say it in the recap. But I know we're going to be biting our nails on this, but I do think this Titans team is in a good spot. Win this game, get to 3-2, and go to your bye week. And be proud of what you've done in this first stretch of the season. You were in an 0-2 hole, and you had a bye week in 4 weeks, and the best case scenario is you'd be 3-2 going into the bye. And they're looking it in the face if they can go take care of business. But I do think this is in a good spot, and I do think that this team is going to compete and eventually win a division title. But man, they have to score points in the second half, Justin. I don't know how many times they're going to get away with this. They didn't get away with it. They almost got away with it against the Giants. If Randy Bullock makes a 44-yarder, the Titans are 3-1.
That was the one game where we did score in the second half. We were leading 13 going into half, and then we had those were our only 7 points of the entire season in the second half. Is that that first game? Yeah. Agreed. Got to score in the second half.
Yeah, so you didn't get away with it against the Giants, but you did score 7 at least. Come on, give me some credit. But you got away with it against the Raiders, and you got away with it in Indianapolis. I couldn't believe they got away with it against the Colts on Sunday, but they did, and that's all that matters. You got the W on the schedule, you got the W in the record, and you fought your team back to 500. And I'm proud of this team for doing that. But man, it's hard to get excited about the long-term aspirations of this team when 4 games in and they've scored 7 second half points. 7.
Yeah. Man, dude. Yeah. I mean, here's an opportunity, Titans, for you to make your fans and yourselves feel really, really confident and good about this team. And that's next week, going into Washington and putting together a full 60 minutes, scoring in the first half, scoring in the second half, putting together a full game to set yourself up at 3-2. Don't be, I mean, I'll take any win. Don't get me wrong. But if we go again scoreless in the second half, or we just completely look inept at certain points of the game and we eke out a win, we'll be happy to be 3-2. But what's the reality of the situation for this team if we still have these struggles, even in wins, where this team has major questions? But if they can go out there in Washington and just take care of business, take control of the game, and don't let go, the fans and this team should feel really confident about the long-term future, heading into the bye, getting the Colts at home again after that. So I'm looking forward to this Sunday, Jake. I mean, we'll see if the Titans can put together a full 60 minutes, answer some of these doubts and questions. Because, Washington, no disrespect, but they don't look like a great team this year. I mean, thank you for taking care of Jacksonville. I'm a little worried because Carson Wentz did play well against Jacksonville. And since then, he's put up a bunch of stinkers. And he'll do that, and then he'll pop off again for another game. So I don't want to see that Carson Wentz pop off when he's due to pop off. He needs to put up another stinker for us.
Yes,
so,
please. I
mean, we're gonna have to go and compete. I mean, this team obviously can lose to any team in the NFL. We've seen that from the Titans. I mean, we gotta, just put together a full 60 minutes. And man, Jake, I'm gonna feel really good about this team, heading into the bye and then further on down the road.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you. And you got to remember, it's a veteran team. You have a veteran head coach. And I just feel like the culture in the locker room with the Tennessee Titans is rock solid. It has been for a while. And it's just, this team knows its ceiling and it knows its basement. And I feel like this team knows itself better than we give them credit for. But it just so happens when they go out there on Sundays, there's just some way they get in their own way. But I do trust them to go into Washington, get this team to 3-2, and then go into a bye and just, okay, how do we fix this? Like I'm fully expecting them to not put up any second half points, Justin. It's gotten to that point where I'm just like, I hope we score 30 in the first half this time, just in case. But
right.
I do have confidence in this team to figure it out. It's a long season. We're only really a quarter of the way through. So I have a lot of faith in this team, but it's hard to think about long-term goals when you can't score.
Yeah, that's true. And you know what? That reminded me again where this team is at 2-2 right now. Things are trending up. Do you remember exactly last year at this time? Titans are 2-2. Coming off the overtime loss to the Jets, and the world was falling. This team was trending down. And you know what? By the end of the season, Titans were the number 1 seed in the AFC. So
it's a great point.
Long term, who knows what's going to happen? I'm not necessarily expecting a number 1 seed in the AFC this season by any means, but it happened last year, and I wouldn't have believed you if you told me that after the Jets loss a season ago. So got a perspective, people. We have not lost any ground in the win column in the 2022 season. So we're in the same spot. Let's feel good about these Titans, and they figured it out last year for the most part. They'll figure out this second half disappearance, hopefully.
Absolutely. And you know what? The last comment I really have on the Colts game, Justin, you brought up a beautiful word, perspective. And I saw a tweet that was, try pitching this scenario to your Titans fan self like 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Ooh.
The Titans have just gone into Lucas Oil and beaten the Colts for the 4th straight time while their franchise is in turmoil, and Titans fans are not happy because it just wasn't a good enough win. And how silly that sounds, you know?
Yeah.
After losing to Andrew Luck double-digit times in a row.
Yep.
And we're still not happy beating the Colts 4 times in a row. It's crazy how fandom works and how you think about things like that. But I feel like we always come back to the mantra, it's a good time to be a Titans fan right now. No matter how frustrating and how mad this team drives you every single week on Sunday, it is an overall great time to be a Titans fan. And that perspective right there, beating the Colts 4 straight times, you just beat them by 7 in Lucas Oil. You just got your team back to 500 after a bad start. That's all we could ask for, really. And honestly,
it's amazing. And it's literally, there's never literally been a better time to be a Titans fan in terms of winning against the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, yes,
you can
literally.
actually say that. Steve McNair's Titans never beat them 4 times. Chris Johnson era, Vince Young, we were lucky to even get 1 against Peyton Manning back in those days. And of course, Andrew Luck completely owned us every single time. So it's a great time. Great time. Enjoy this win. 2-2 is nothing to raise the banners about. Well, maybe the Colts might raise the
Colts will. Yeah, yes.
Another shot at the Colts, yes. But yeah, man, it's exciting. It's exciting to get back to 2-2 after where we were 2 weeks ago. And gosh, yeah, the ceiling was feeling like it was falling after that 41-7 debacle in Buffalo. Good Lord, I'm so glad that's far in the rearview mirror now. We're just looking ahead now, Jake. Looking ahead. Washington up next. If you got nothing more to say about this game, I mean, we can wrap it up, and hopefully, yeah, guys, tune in for our Washington Commanders preview.
Absolutely. Let's go to DC, beat the Commanders. Great win in Indy. Love seeing the Titans win in Lucas Oil. It's just such a foreign sight that anytime it happens, you really need to breathe it in, no matter how frustrating Sunday was. And trust me, I was as frustrated as they come with this team on Sunday, but just happy to get that win in the win column. Happy to see the Colts tumbling down a hill. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. Let's go get on the plus side of 500 and relax for a bye week. That would be great. That would just be, that
great.
Sounds like a perfect little mid-October break for us, Justin.
Yeah. I don't want to go through the bye week mad and with a losing record and just pouting. And yeah, let's go in with some positivity and relax and enjoy the week off and get healthy. Get healthy, Titans fans. Or not if you're a fan and you're hurt, I mean, get healthy Titans players. We want everybody healthy out there, no matter who you are. Yes.
Yeah, I need a break just for my mental health from this team. But anyways, that'll probably wrap it up for us. Join us for the preview. Tighten up, everybody. Titans get the win 24-17 against the wretched Indianapolis Colts. It's a great time to be a Titans fan. Peace out.
Tighten up.